You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
It's been a busy few days at Janpath with political strategist Prashant Kishor meeting Congress President Sonia Gandhi and other senior party leaders, with the former reportedly looking to join the party full-time. With 3 high-level meetings since 16th April, Kishor reportedly gave a detailed presentation on the roadmap to the 2024 Lok Sabha elections to party leaders like Priyanka Gandhi, Mukul Wasnik, Venugopal, Randeep Surjewala, Digvijay Singh, Ambika Soni and Kamal Nath. And this is also not the first time buzz of Kishor joining the Congress has surfaced, since similar discussions also happened between the two entities in 2021. But the negotiations were reportedly unsuccessful due to disagreements over his role. So, what led to the Congress finally changing its mind? What are Kishor's plans for the Congress? And the big question is, will the Congress give Kishor the mandate to make the crucial election decisions? To help us answer these questions, joining me today is Aditya Menon, the Quint's political editor. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. Let's start with what we know so far about the meetings between Kishor and the Congress. The meeting on 16 April lasted for more than 3 hours, and here Kishor reportedly gave a detailed presentation on the road ahead for the Congress as per a print report. Among those present at the meeting included senior party leaders like Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Mukul Wasnik, Ambika Soni, Venugopal, P. Chidambaram, Jairam Ramesh, Digvijay Singh and Randeep Surjewala. And the big speculation coming out of these meetings is that Kishor may join the Grand Old Party not as a quote-unquote political advisor, but as an active political leader. And as I said earlier, this is also not the first time headlines of Kishor joining the Congress as a leader have surfaced. In August 2021, when Kishor resigned from his post as advisor to the Punjab government, buzz regarding him joining the party full-time began. In those discussions, Kishor had essentially requested a national role that is part or has direct access to an empowered body that takes care of all decisions on political strategy. However, negotiations regarding his possible induction crumbled over these demands. The relationship between the Congress and Kishor has also not been the smoothest. Over the past few years, Kishor has been critical of the Congress's organization structure and said that the leadership of the opposition is not the quote-unquote divine right of an individual, especially when the party has lost more than 90% elections in the last 10 years. End quote. So what changed this mindset around? Why has the Congress changed its mind about bringing Kishor in? We took this question to Aditya Menon, the Quint's political editor, who said that the fundamental push for the Congress to engage with Kishor this time around is the party's poor performance in the recent assembly elections.
Prashant Kishor and the Congress have been in negotiations a number of times in the past. He worked for the Congress's Punjab campaign in 2017 and to some extent for the Uttar Pradesh campaign the same year as well. Then last year, the Congress and Prashant Kishor were in quite extended negotiations regarding some kind of collaboration between the two, but it did not work out for whatever reasons. We are told that there were some very major disagreements between the two. This time, however, I think one major thing that has changed, that is the result of the 5 assembly elections that have recently taken place. I think as soon as the results were announced, Congress leaders, even without prodding from my end, began saying that the party is now ready to engage with Prashant Kishor, that we must prepare for Prashant Kishor's entry into the party in some capacity or the other. So I think these results were what changed the Congress's mind regarding engaging Prashant Kishor. What was it about these results that actually made the Congress change its minds? Firstly, I think after 2018, the Congress at least had this belief that because they had won Madhya Pradesh, of course, the government fell, but at least they did get more seats than the BJP in Madhya Pradesh. They comprehensively won Chhattisgarh and won Rajasthan as well. The belief in the Congress was that at least at the state level, the party is able to compete with the BJP. But the defeats in Uttarakhand and Goa, where the party couldn't defeat the BJP despite anti-incumbency in both these states, it raised serious questions on the Congress's competitiveness even at the state level. That was one part. The second part, especially after Congress doing well in a number of states in the Lok Sabha elections, it did well in Telangana compared to the previous assembly elections. It swept Kerala. There was a belief that Congress can at least hold its ground against regional parties. But its comprehensive defeat in Punjab in 2020 in the 2022 assembly elections that raised questions on even that fact. The third part is that during the course of the campaign, the Congress realized that its central leadership is not really drawing any votes in many states. So a number of these factors came to light for the Congress, and this realization finally dawned upon them after the results of the five assembly elections, and that's why they felt the need to now reach out to Prashant Kishor in some.
Before we move on to what Kishore exactly has in mind for the Grand Old Party, let's take a look at his track record for a moment. The pivotal point for Kishore was bringing Narendra Modi to power in 2012 as Gujarat CM and subsequently the Bharatiya Janata Party with Modi as PM to power at the centre in 2014. Then in 2015, he successfully worked for Bihar's Mahagathbandhan of Nitish Kumar, Lalu Prasad and the Congress. Kishore also had success with the Congress in the past, having worked with Captain Amrinder Singh in the 2017 Punjab Assembly polls. But what drew the biggest attention was the massive victories Kishore's campaign strategy brought for the Trinamool Congress and the DMK in the 2021 Assembly elections. So, what is Kishore's plan for the Congress in the run-up to the 2024 elections? Aditya weighs in.
So Prashant Kishore has had some very major successes. The 2014 Lok Sabha elections for Narendra Modi, the 2015 Bihar election for the Mahagathbandhan, uh, YSRCP's win in the 2019 assembly elections in Andhra Pradesh, then two major victories of MK Stalin and Mamta Banerjee. Earlier we had 2017 Captain Amarinder Singh's victory in Punjab. So he has had some very major successes. The only major failure being the 2017 campaign in Uttar Pradesh for the Congress. So Prashant Kishore has a very solid track record in terms of managing elections. Now it can be argued that these respective parties were probably winning these states anyway. But then, if they were winning anyway, why did they hire Prashant Kishore? So, I mean, one should not deny Prashant Kishore credit for these victories. I think what Kishore brings to the table is some very rigorous experience in political strategy, some very rigorous experience in analyzing big data from the ground and using it to tailor strategies for elections. Uh, Slightly I think more recent experience for him, especially after his involvement with the Trinamool Congress, is consulting on organizational changes. In many of his earlier stints, Prashant Kishore wasn't really taking a call on organizational matters, but after his involvement with the TMC, it was clear that now there's certain extension of Prashant Kishore's brief did take place with his stint with the TMC. So yeah, this is broadly what his track record is. In terms of what he has in mind for the Congress, now what one is hearing is that he has asked the Congress to focus on 370 Lok Sabha seats. A bulk of those seats are in states where Congress is in a direct contest with the BJP. Some are also states where he wants the Congress to contest so that it doesn't cede space to the BJP. So that means a state like, say, Odisha, or a state like Telangana, where if the Congress sort of withdraws, BJP will emerge as the main opposition. So yeah, these are roughly the kind of states where Prashant Kishore wants the Congress to focus on, and in the remaining seats, it should play second fiddle to allies or to bigger parties with a bigger footprint in those states. So that means state like West Bengal, state like Tamil Nadu, where Congress is already a junior partner. So yeah, so that's broadly one aspect of what Prashant Kishore is suggesting. From what one is hearing, he's also suggesting certain organizational changes in the party. There are some. I think he's publicly criticized the Congress's general secretary system, and he's alleged that in elections, general secretaries wield disproportionate influence in the party. So probably he may have suggested some organizational reforms on those parts as well. I think this is what Kishore has broadly in mind for the Congress, and of course, he's also pitched he's given the Congress a glimpse of the kind of narrative he wants the party to go ahead with in the run-up to the 2024 assembly elections, because uh, one must understand one thing about Prashant Kishore is that he is very clear on the narrative that a party should offer in an election. For him, the message is important and the messenger is important. The means are important. So these are some of the factors that Kishore has been emphasizing on. It cannot just be a default vote against the BJP. The Congress has to propose something constructive. So that narrative also, I think, Kishore would have put forward.
But the big question of the story is whether the Congress party can give Kishore the free hand he has demanded in the past to steer the party's political strategy. And as per an Indian Express report, the idea of Kishore taking care of the party's political strategy has not been unanimously accepted. The Indian Express report points out that some Congress leaders were upset with the idea of bringing Kishore in. Speaking to the paper, one anonymous leader who attended the meeting said that, quote, a 137-year-old party of Gandhi, Nehru and Patel has been outsourced. This is the biggest insult that you can heap upon yourself, showing that you are incompetent and disliked by the people, so you have to bring in somebody who purely works for money, end quote. According to Aditya, it will be very difficult for the party leadership to give Kishore the role he seeks, given the way the party functions.
See, this is really important here because the Gandhis themselves don't have these kind of sweeping powers. So there's no way they can give Prashant Kishore those sweeping powers. One feels that because the Gandhis have led the Congress for so many years that they would have unquestioned authority. Yes, probably as titular heads, they are unquestioned. No one else wants to take up that job. No one else dares to take up that job. But that doesn't mean that Gandhis dominate the Congress the way, say, Mamata Banerjee dominates the Trinamool Congress, or K. Chandrasekhar Rao dominates the TRS, or Jagan Mohan Reddy dominates the YRCP, or Uddhav Thackeray dominates the Shiv Sena. The Congress is not like that. The Congress is a very broad coalition of different interest groups and leaders and people with varying ideologies and persuasions. Gandhis are some kind of a titular head for this coalition of people. It's not that their writ runs right from the top till the bottom. In fact, of late, their writ has become weaker progressively. It's very difficult for the Gandhis to give Prashant Kishore the kind of free hand that he would need in order to implement his vision. So this is the really tricky part. There's the way the Congress functions. There's a lot of cloak and dagger involved. There would be a very large number of people who would try and sort of restrict Kishore's influence. There were already attempts to sort of restrict the engagement with Kishore to one state, such as the upcoming assembly elections in Gujarat, rather than giving him a national canvas. Kishore, of course, deftly handled that landmine. He knows and he has been saying publicly that the way to defeat BJP in 2024 does not go through a series of state elections. There should be a separate national plan. And this is the plan he wants to work for. So he sidestepped this entire Gujarat offer. But there would still be people who would want Kishore to operate within a certain structure. And probably it won't be easy for Kishore to get the kind of free hand that he would desire.
Aditya wrote a detailed analysis story on the significance of Kishore joining the Congress, and you can find a link to it in our show notes. For more updates on the story, follow the Quint on our social media handles. If you liked listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.